everybody has imposter syndrome, right? Every single person who's ever started anything ever feels like they're not qualified. And if they feel overqualified, they're probably not as good as they think. You know what I mean? Like, like they're probably not that awesome at it. It's really cool.
Welcome to the Baton Twirling Podcast, a show about all things baton twirling, from the latest news to interviews with world champions and connections made along the way. I am your host, Sarah Rudine. Baton twirling has taken me on an amazing journey, and I'm here to share part of that journey with all of you, one episode at a time. So sit back, enjoy the show, and let's get rolling. I love the subject of marketing. I have been researching over the years, trying to figure out better ways for baton twirlers to be able to market their studios, be able to teach online. And I stumbled upon a marketer. His name is Steve Larsen, and he was teaching a lot about something called funnels, which we'll explain more in the episode. I cannot tell you how excited I am for you guys to listen to this episode. Steve has great tips on how to market baton twirling, how to get those ideas out of your head that baton twirling is old and that we can't market it and that it's a dying sport. So I was so excited to have somebody validate my feelings on marketing. I really hope he does that for you today as well.
Yeah, my name is Steve Larsen. I build a lot of sales funnels, and I'm known for helping companies take their products on the internet. And a lot of new people who are just starting out and a lot of existing companies as well. And I've been self-crowned as the offer king. So basically whatever it is that you do, we help turn your thing into an offer that would be attractive for the internet to purchase.
Okay.
To sell on the internet.
And for people who aren't familiar with a sales funnel, how would you explain that to them?
Similar to a website, but when you go into a website and you look at the homepage of a website, there's a fundamental difference between what we call a sales funnel and a website. Because they're both web pages. Mm-hmm. But a website, if you look at it, like across the top, there's an about, there's a contact, there's a product. There's a lot of ways, we call those exits. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways that I can exit the page. The problem is that when you try to sell something on a website, there's so many exits that a lot of times someone who would have purchased gets distracted. Mm-hmm. And so with a funnel, what we do is we only make it so that there's one exit. And that is to progress in the purchase. And so it's like, hey, do you want to download this thing for free? Yeah. Hey, while you're here, do you want to get this thing that's $7? While you're also here, should we add into the cart this thing that's $50? And what's neat is all we've done is, and I'm not the one who created this, but the sales funnel theology, I guess, if you will, basically removes distractions from the buyer so that you get a lot more engagement and purchases. So much more lucrative than a website.
If I said baton twirling, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
I think of the color guard when I was in the Army.
Okay, yeah, there you go. It's pretty good. So baton twirling is actually just, I actually have one here because usually the people who aren't familiar with it. So this is a baton. Yeah. And this is what everyone listening right now is probably familiar with. So even if they're watching, they're like, yeah, I know what that is. So for baton twirlers, and we talked a little bit about this, but with their own business, how can they use the internet to market something that they usually do physically? Like they'll do it in person and give lessons in person.
It's interesting. There was a guy, one of my favorite case studies of this as well, is that he was good at jumping, just jumping. And he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars every month teaching people how to jump. Okay. And he and his wife, they haven't had a house in 8 years because they just travel the world, and he'll just whatever hostel he's in, he will literally just film the next few pieces he wants, find a way to get it on the internet, and that's it. And it's fascinating the power of the internet though, and what you can really do. It's not there's no borders as far as like it has to be a digital, it has to be a physical thing, it has to be info, it doesn't matter. If it has any sale or any exchange happens, the internet can facilitate that when done in the right way. So if someone's just starting out in this game, I bring that up because everybody always asks me that. I was the lead funnel builder at ClickFunnels for a number of years, and every time we go teach someone else how to do this, they'd be like, well, that probably won't work for me. And I'm like, well, do you need sales? Okay, then it works for you. We did it with toilet paper. Yeah. We made a funnel once that was visas into Australia. We did software. It doesn't matter what you sell. and if you're involved in the fulfillment or not,
Mm-hmm.
shipping something, not shipping something, it's fascinating. Yeah.
So when Baton twirlers think, oh, you know what, I'm not good enough for this, I can't do it, what would you say to those people?
I would say, first of all, the first is very comforting. The second is a little bit harsh.
Good. We need it.
Yeah. I would say that, first of all, everybody has imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single person who's ever started anything ever feels like they're not qualified. And if they feel overqualified, they're probably not as good as they think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're probably not that awesome at it. It's really cool. The second thing is that if you truly think you're not good enough to get started, you're probably right. You know what I mean? Like, you're competing on a global market when you go on the internet. And so I don't mean that to put anyone down, because you don't have to be an Olympian level at whatever you do. You don't have to be gold medal status at all.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a principle called the long tail, and you can just, instead of being the top pillars, all the other long tail, you can make millions of dollars like that. You don't have to be the Walmarts of retail to make money on the internet.
Yeah.
You can be a mom and pop shop, And so, I mean, I've had a lot of people where they'll come in and say the same thing. I'm not good enough. And I always let them know, like, you got to own it a little bit, though.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to. Because if you're really thinking you're not good enough, you're right. Like, I say that because no one's going to tell you otherwise. Nobody. No one's going to hold your dream besides you. You can't ask other people to do it. No one cares about your business or your success more than you will. So, like, there comes a point where I understand where it's coming from. But after you do got to get a little tough nails with yourself and be like, I'm going to go for this. My self-worth is not determined by if I get a naysayer. My self-worth is not determined by if I don't have success as fast as that person or that person. And it's one of my favorite aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Because you are forced to grow at a personal level, external to everything business, faster than any other vehicle I've ever seen in my life. So it's like I call it the best personal development course you never enrolled
in. And so when it comes to those who are actually doing this, would you say that one of the most important things is to just start? Just like,
totally.
Yeah. I hear that all the time.
It took me 34 tries over 5 years, and the first 17, no idea what any of these internet strategies were, like, at all. I had never heard of them, didn't know what a funnel was, thought that was a kitchen thing. You know what I mean? But when I started, like, realizing what a sales funnel was and started learning what they were, it was another 17 launches before one of them, like, really exploded. And then after that, it was just like, it's just like riding a bike. You learn how to ride a bike, it's hard to forget after a while,
Yeah.
what it was like to not ride a bike,
So, the things you need to remember for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you tried a bunch of different products. What was the tipping point? What was that big domino?
Yeah, this is going to be, okay, this is what people always get distracted with. They get distracted with tech. So I remember when I was, one of my first tries ever, I couldn't feed my family. And I was doing real estate, and then I went to commercial real estate, and then we were doing things with 401k investments, and then we went into I did diamonds, and then ebooks, 2 summers of door-to-door sales, anyway, tons of stuff, right? In these 3 to 6 month rotations, it was like, try, utter, fail, try, utter, fail, try, utter, fail. And I was like, really going, it was like, I'm trying. Like, I was actively walking around the street selling on Main Street. I actually did that because I was like, I'm going to make it work no matter what. I was like really putting in what I thought would be the success. And so what I started learning with the internet was, I fell into the trap that thinking that the reason my knickknack could sell was because of the internet, or was because of the way the website looked. So I love this question because the tipping point for me was I was Russell Brunson's funnel guy, in ClickFunnels. So sitting in there in his office, and I remember, because that's where my desk was, it was next to his, and we sat for 2 years. I was right there, and I sat there and I was there next to him, and I remember this distinct embarrassment as I suddenly realized that I was literally helping him launch another $1 million funnel like every 3 weeks, while I was broke.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, but I'm this funnel guy. I'm really, really, really good at these sales funnels. Why am I still broke? And what I didn't understand, like, this is a big lesson. What I didn't understand was that tech and sales funnel building and skills, that is not what makes anyone get paid. Funny enough, I don't build my own funnels anymore, but I make more than I ever have. And it's because of the one skill set of what marketing really is.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized from Russell is that Russell, I mean, he would jump in sometimes and help with the funnels as well, but that's not what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
What he was doing was marketing activities, and I was building the funnel that captures the effects of his marketing activities. I think of it like a kind of like a catcher's mitt.
Mm-hmm.
Someone throws the ball, you know. People think that the sales funnel is the reason you make the cash. It's not. Funnels aren't marketing. Funnels capture the effects of marketing. Someone still has to throw the ball, though.
Yeah.
And that very clear distinction there is what is the difference between millions of dollars that's happened for me in the last 2 years. Because I thought it was all about what brand is the mitt,
Mm-hmm.
Is it the perfect fit for my hand? Is it, what's it made out of? Did it get imported from? All this crap that has nothing to do with it. No one was throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go get good at the marketing piece. And that, now I don't build my own funnels anymore either. And I have someone else go do it because I recognize like it's the marketing activities that make the cash. So the big turning point for me was to realize that, I mean, I kept walking around. You've probably done the same thing. All entrepreneurs do it. But you walk around for a while and you're like, what am I going to sell? What am I going to sell? What am I going to sell? It's like this, you get stuck for a while. You're like,
yeah.
Oh man, kind of like this whip you beat yourself with. Oh my gosh, what am I going to sell? I did that for years. It wasn't until I changed the question that I got a different answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who do I want to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And then what do I sell got a lot easier because
mm-hmm.
I just sold what they need. And then it was like, well, what are they already buying? Let's see how they purchase that. And once I got into the marketing, it's ridiculous how fast the cash came in. One of my favorite quotes is from Joe Polish, and he says, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid.
Yeah,
fellow baton throwers, if you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to be the best baton thrower in the world because that's what's going to make me the most money, it's actually a complete utter lie, right? It's like some of my favorite people on this planet who are the best software engineers on the planet, they're still largely broke. Being good, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid. And then the quote continues. He says, however, there is a massive relationship between being good at marketing and getting paid. And so what you're trying to learn is the skill set of not the thing. You're trying to learn the skill set of selling the thing. Mm-hmm. It's totally different, but it's the reason you make it.
Okay. And I know you're limited on time, and I'm so thankful that you're doing this interview with us. What book or even something to watch, what would you recommend to people?
Yeah, if they're trying to learn this world?
Yeah. Yeah, that works too. Marketing.
Yeah. Definitely I would start with Russell Brunson's Secrets trilogy.
Mm-hmm. That's in the mail right now coming to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got a marketing degree in college, which was great. I'll never badmouth college, but nothing I learned in college actually made me money.
Yeah.
His books are like way better than my 5-year degree. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell the baton twirling world?
Yeah. Just, the entrepreneur space is so fun. It's a little aggressive, but you have fun with it because people smell it like fear, otherwise. You have fun with it. And what's cool is that it's this fun space where you get to work on yourself. And I'll just tell you just real fast, I was in college, I was going to some counselors and they were like, Steven, have you ever been tested for ADHD? And I was like offended that they even asked. I was like, what? No. Why would you even ask? Like, don't tell me I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? And I was like, why would you think that? He's like, well, you're doing it like right now, He's like, go take the test, come back, and we'll just see what happens. So I go and I take the test, and my wife at the time, she was like, go take the test. I was like, all right. So I go and I take it, and I bring it back, and I hand it back to him. And they look at the test, and I think he could tell that I was just literally shooting lasers at him with my eyeballs. I mean, he was not, there's nothing that he could say to me that would be awesome. So he was like, you don't have ADHD, but you have a lot of symptoms of it. And I was like, isn't that how you decide if someone has something? So
wait.
I still don't know. But the point is that it became a whip, another one of those whips. And it became this flag that I held as a reason to not qualify for my dream.
Yeah.
And I started saying, because everyone can relate with that. It goes back to the imposter syndrome, And I was like, oh, I don't qualify, whip, There's no way it's going to happen, whip, And I remember walking around, this is like the height of it. I was like, I'm never going to be successful because I'm never going to be professional. I don't even own a briefcase or a suit. stupid, right? But I always point out to people that I'm like, yeah, whatever you're saying is stupid too.
Exactly.
And I had to sit back and recognize, I remember one day realizing that anything that anyone's ever classified me as, anything that has ever been labeled as, in fact, I got this thing right here, is actually a gift. And I keep this coin on my desk, and it says, I love this coin. It says, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
And on the back, it says, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If I had not done those 34 tries, I would not be here. If I had not had those counselors tell me those things, I wouldn't have learned what really my brain was doing, which is finding connections and things. Yeah. Everything that looks like it's a failure is really a future catalyst, you know? And so if you're trying to figure out whatever it is you're going to go do, if you're trying to be the best, you know, baton thrower or whatever, you know, that's great. But you have to learn to turn around and thank the journey, or you really don't get there.
That is true. But yeah, the connections thing, that got me, because I see connections in everything now, and I'm on like try 26, so I'm almost to 34, and
it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, you're almost there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a big girl job, and I do, you know, I figured out how to do that side. Now I'm like, okay, let's make it harder on myself and do the entrepreneur side. Like, totally makes sense. So working on that. Well, it's great. Thank you for coming on and talking with us. I'm so thankful for you coming on here.
Oh, thank you so much. It was fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye. Hey, listeners. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe to the Baton Twirling podcast. If you'd like to follow up with us, read the show notes, or get some neat baton freebies, reach out by going to batontwirling101.com. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time.